In 1995, a single decision changed 4 lives forever. On a quiet afternoon inside a small adoption center, a wealthy man stood alone, staring through a glass window. Children laughed, cried, and played behind it. Some would be chosen. Many would not. The man's name was Richard Hale. A self-made millionaire, respected, powerful, and completely alone. What no one there knew was that Richard wasn't looking for perfection. He was looking for family. And that's when he saw them. 3 little girls sat in the corner, holding hands like they were afraid the world might pull them apart. They were sisters, Amara, Nia, and Zuri. The oldest couldn't have been more than 8. The youngest barely 5. Their clothes were worn. Their shoes didn't match. But their eyes held something rare. Hope. When Richard asked about them, the social worker hesitated. "They've been here a long time," she said quietly. "Most families want 1 child. Not 3. And not black girls." Richard felt a tightness in his chest. "How long?" he asked. "Almost 2 years." He didn't need another second. "I'll take all 3, he said. The room fell silent. That decision shocked everyone, including the girls. When Richard knelt in front of them and said, "Would you like to come home with me?" they didn't smile. They didn't run to him. They looked at each other first. Then Amara, the oldest, stepped forward and asked the question that broke his heart. "You won't send us back, right?" Richard swallowed hard. "I promise," he said. "Never." The early years weren't easy. Richard had money but no experience raising children, especially 3 young girls who had known loss more than love. They had nightmares. They hid food under their pillows. They flinched when adults raised their voices. But Richard stayed. Every bedtime story. Every scraped knee. Every school meeting. He learned their hair. He learned their fears. He learned how to love without conditions. When people questioned his choice, why 3? Why adopt at all? Why black girls? Richard had one answer. Because they needed me. And I needed them. Years passed. The little girls grew into confident young women. Amara became a lawyer, fighting for children stuck in the same system she once lived in. Nia became a pediatric doctor, healing children with hands that once trembled in fear. Zuri became a social worker, determined to give hope to the forgotten. Richard watched them from the sidelines, pride filling his aging heart. But time is unforgiving. At 67, Richard fell seriously ill. His strength faded. His once powerful voice softened. One evening, he sat alone in his quiet home, staring at old photo albums, wondering if he had done enough. That's when the doorbell rang. "Dad," Amara said, smiling through tears. "Trust us," Nia added. "Just come with us," Zuri whispered. They helped him into a car and drove in silence. When they stopped, Richard looked up in confusion. It was the same adoption center. But something was different. Inside, the building was completely transformed. New rooms, bright colors, smiling staff, and children playing freely. A large sign hung on the wall. The Richard Hale Home for Sisters. Richard's breath caught. Amara took his hand. "For 30 years, she said, you gave us safety when no one else would." Nia continued, voice shaking. "You gave us a future." Zuri smiled through tears. "So we built this. For girls like us. Sisters who deserve to stay together." Richard broke down. Not the quiet tears of a strong man, but the deep sobs of a father who never expected gratitude. "I didn't do it for thanks," he said. "We know," Amara replied. "That's why we're doing this." They had used their own money to buy, rebuild, and fund the center, forever. A home where sisters would never be separated again. A home born from love. As Richard stood there, surrounded by the laughter of children, he realized something powerful. Wealth didn't change his life. Love did. 30 years earlier, he had walked into that building as a millionaire. He walked out that day as a father. And now, 30 years later, he stood as the richest man alive, not because of money but because of the legacy he left behind. If this story touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and share for more powerful, inspiring stories. Remember, sometimes the greatest investment you'll ever make is in people.